Our next inductee, Marc Megna, was a four-year starter at defensive end, culminated his Richmond football career with a conference championship and multiple All-American and Player of the Year awards as a senior. Walter Camp, Sports Network, Don Hanson, Associated Press, and a strength team All-American. He was honored as Defensive Player of the Year by the Atlantic 10 Conference, by the Roanoke Times, and for the second consecutive year by our very own Richmond Touchdown Club here in the city. He also received the top honor awarded to a college football player in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He became the first from what was then called Division I AA to win the Bill Dudley Award. He holds school records for quarterback sacks in a career, and the two top single-season quarterback sack marks. He had 14 as a junior and 13 as a senior. Marc was then selected by the New York Jets in the second round of the 1999 NFL Draft. Please welcome from the class of 1999, Marc Megna.
Sorry, I'm not an Apple person. Trying to get it down. I didn't really have too much prepared, but Eric Johnson just scared the hell out of me. He said, you better have a long speech ready because that's the thing to do. So here we go. First of all, it's an honor to be here among the other Hall inductees. It's really a privilege. Honestly, so many great athletes. One of my great joys was when I was playing at Richmond to go see the other sports, and we had some phenomenal teams from, the baseball teams. Obviously, the basketball team was always wonderful. The soccer teams, just everything. It's a privilege to go to the University of Richmond, and it's always special. First, I just want to say that when my first experience with the University of Richmond, Coach Jim Reed came to visit my home in Fall River, Massachusetts. Now, if you don't know anything about Fall River, Massachusetts, it's a very unique place. And they've written a couple books about it, but I'll do my best and say it's a hardened place. That's all I'm going to say. And Coach Reed came to my home in a small housing development called Rolling Green. And he came into my home, and he shook my hand. And as Coach Reed does, he shakes your hand, and he almost pulls you off your feet. And he also did the same thing to my mom. And he sat me down and told me these wonderful stories about the University of Richmond, how the teachers and the support staff, they care so much about the students. And, he made it sound like the most wonderful place in the world. At that moment, I didn't know anything about Richmond, Virginia, let alone the University of Richmond. But I knew at the end of that speech that, number one, I wanted to play for this man, and I definitely wanted to go to the University of Richmond. When Coach Reed walked out, as most of you know, he left in an aura of, we all want to play for the University of Richmond. And my mother kind of looked at me and said, well, I guess you're going to the University of Richmond. And not that I had too many other offers, because I didn't have a single one, but it was a joy and a great honor, because Coach Reed saw something in me that no one else did. And thank God he gave me the opportunity, and the University of Richmond let me in and gave me a wonderful opportunity. I just want to go over, some people I'd like to thank. I'd like to start off with Mr. Bob Black, the voice of the Spiders for so many years now. His voice is synonymous with Richmond athletics, and it's always a joy to hear his voice on the radio. It's me listening through the computer on the weekend or whatever it may be. He brings great excitement, enthusiasm, and joy to listen to all the Spider events, and it was a great joy when I was at the University of Richmond to hear his voice, especially when he was yelling, because that meant something positive happened. Mr. Ken Hart. Ken Hart, if you don't know, he's the equipment manager at the University of Richmond for so many years, and he's done a wonderful job putting up with me. And when I had my jersey torn off, and he'd have to sew it back up, and I'd ask for a new one, and he wouldn't give me one. But he also he'd sew it back up, it get ripped again, he'd do it again, and We all have a lot of gray half shirts at our home that we've kept, we don't wear, except for a few guys over to the left might wear them during late hours of the night. Anyway, Mr. Barry Barnum, for his support and friendship. He's a wonderful person in the Richmond athletic family. Also, obviously, the football family. He loved the teams, he loved the camaraderie, and he was always there to support us and help us, and that always meant a great deal to me, so thank you, Mr. Barnum. Colonel Ivy, always there to help whenever I had trouble with academics, and which was often, and he would talk me through it and make sure we got the help that we needed, and that's everything to a young person, especially coming where I come from in the high school that I came from. His help was just incredible, and I thank you very much, Colonel Ivy. Thank you. Chuck Boone, who was the athletic director at the University of Richmond, was a huge supporter of the football team, football program, a former player, athlete, was always there to support us, and we thank you for it, Coach Boone. Dr. Emery Bogle, for his positive spirit, advice, and thoughts. He was, if not at every practice, he might have missed one or two practices while I was there, and he was a wonderful, wonderful person to talk to, always offering inspiration and positive words, and it was just amazing to be around an individual that was that passionate about supporting the football family. And later on, his son, Andrew, was an outstanding player for the University of Richmond, so God rest his soul. Thank you, Dr. Bogle. Mr. Barry Gibrell, who was a huge help with academics, tutoring, studying, and he always told me that I was doing well, even when I wasn't. He was, I'd come back with a paper, and I said, this is how well I did, and it might have been a C+, and he would look at me and say, I'm proud of you, you did outstanding. And he was the gentleman that would be in study hall. We would go to him for help, and he would lead us through, and he was also like the National Teacher of the Year, and he was offering his time and just support and to put up with us, a bunch of wild, crazy, I would say, I guess, testosterone-filled idiots, jumping around the study hall, but he was always there to support us, put up with us, be patient, and offered us all the help in the world, which was phenomenal. So thank you very much, Mr. Gibrell. Mr. Ray Tate, probably the most proud former player and supporter of our football family. He's passed on, but he was always there for us with whatever we needed. He offered several of us jobs in the off season. He was just an amazing person, amazing supporter, and he was the most proud Spider I've ever met. So thank you, Mr. Ray Tate. Coach Jim Tate, for telling me to calm down and relax. Don't get so excited, Megna, and you need to control your emotions, basically. So, and we would hear stories about Coach Tate, how he was a wild man himself, and every once in a while he would just walk down the hall and just give me a look and tell me to calm down and relax, and that meant he cared, because he did. He was outstanding. Coach Jeff Hansen. I have a very special relationship with Coach Hansen, as we all do. Coach Hansen is known to be very tough, very hardened, and he's very, very hard on the players. But I think that we not only put up with that, and we end up liking that because we know how much he cares, and he cares a great deal. And a lot of the players go on to have an even better relationship with a person like Coach Hansen after you're gone, because he calls and he cares. And he wants to know how you're doing. He wants to know how your family is doing, and it matters to him. And they always say it doesn't matter how much you know till the players actually know how much you care, and he cares so very much. And I've never met an individual like that, let alone a coach. So thank you, Coach Hansen. Coach Joe Cullen, who is one of the most fantastic coaches that I've been associated with. I was actually in Miami, and I don't know if you know the name Todd McShay, but Todd McShay works for ESPN now. He's an ESPN analyst, and we sat in a restaurant with my girlfriend and Todd's wife for about 6 hours telling stories about Coach Cullen, but it was so challenging and difficult because we were trying to explain to Todd's wife, my girlfriend Melanie, who Coach Cullen is and how he does things. And Coach Cullen makes most people look like he just got so much energy, he's so excited, he's so enthusiastic, and he's tough. And Todd asked me, he said, why would he make you do those drills 20 or 25 times in a row? And I said, well, sometimes I thought he hated me, but it's the exact opposite, as all us athletes now know, that he really cared about us. It's a very unique way, don't get me wrong. I would find myself throwing helmets and slamming pads and cursing him and not wanting to talk to him and walk the other way in the hallway, but he got the best out of me. He really did. He got the best out of me, and he worked me very, very hard. And I probably can thank, he's definitely one of the coaches I can thank for pushing me and getting me to the NFL. Last but not least on the coaching list, Coach Jim Reed. I played for several great coaches, different levels, the NFL, Rob Ryan, Bo Pelini, Pepper Johnson, Andre Tippett, Pete Carroll, Dick LeBeau, Bill Belichick, and Coach Reed was by far the best coach I've ever had in my entire life. I know he'll be in the Hall of Fame here at the University of Richmond soon for taking a program that was 2-9 to 9-2, nationally ranked, and to the playoffs. Coach Reed gave me a chance when no one else did, and he took a kid from a program at a high school that was very average, and he said, you're going to play defensive line at the University of Richmond, and you're going to be good at it. And the only reason I thought I would be is because he told me I would be. And I've never met a person with more energy, more enthusiasm, more love, more kindness, more giving of his heart and soul to the players. And he always taught me to be good at anything, you have to give every ounce of energy in your body. And anything short of that, don't even bother trying, because nothing else will cut it. And everyone on the left over here, my teammates, they know exactly what that means. And they can recognize it in another athlete or another individual right away. And that's all because of Coach Reed. Coach Reed is just special because he goes out of his way for everyone. And he cares. And I don't meet, I've never met a coach like that. I mean, always going out of his way, with integrity, courage, dependability, enthusiasm, judgment. It's just amazing. It's phenomenal. And Coach Reed, thank you for giving me an opportunity to play football for you and at the University of Richmond. I mean, most of you don't know this. How could you? Yesterday I got a call from Coach Reed. He just got a job at the University of Iowa. So congratulations, Coach. I hope they know what they have. He was going to he was driving from Iowa to the airport, which I guess is 3 hours away. He was 2 hours or an hour and a half in, I'm not quite sure. And he had to turn around because he wasn't going to make his flight. And he said, he called me on the phone yesterday when I got in. He said, sorry, Mark, I'd love to be there, but I'm not going to make it. And I felt awful, but I was happy for him because he got the job. And then I got a call this morning saying, I'm driving to Chicago Airport. I hope I make the ceremony, and congratulations. But he's sitting up there, and he tried 2 days to get here just to be at the ceremony, to listen to me speak for 7 or 8 minutes. So that means the world to me. Thank you, Coach. My teammates, the best group of guys anyone could ever ask for. Bunch of crazy guys, good people, good hearts, good souls. Mac Janney, the whole Janney family. Matt Davis, Art Blanchard, Jasmine Coleman, Sean Barber, Ramon Streeter, Winston October, Jason Giska, Paris Lennon, Jasper Pendergrass, Matt Schneider, Eric King, Joe Douglas, and of course Elio and Bernoni. Just special people, and it's hard for me now because I don't meet a lot of people that will stand by your side and have your back like that. And I always talk about, I worked at a performance center where I coached over 300 NFL athletes, and it's a great experience. But I just constantly talk to the guys from Florida, Florida State, Michigan, Miami, USC, Cal Berkeley, all the large football schools, great football schools, and everything I talk about, they want to hear more stories from me about my teammates. They know who Matt Davis is. They know who Mac Janney is. They know who Art Blanchard is. And they tell me that story again about that guy, Ramon Streeter. They know who he is because I never shut up about him. So they're the greatest group of guys ever, and thank you for welcoming me into the family. You are my family, and I've never had friends like that, ever. 2 people that are extremely important in my life. Vinny Fitzgerald, who was the principal at my high school, who, I didn't grow up with a father, so Mr. Fitzgerald would do everything to look out for me, and I would work out in the gym if I needed to work out, he'd take the keys off his belt, open up the gym at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I'd work out for 2 hours in the gym by myself. And he would do that for me because he knew how much it meant to me. This is the same man that also would make sure I'd had a hot meal after practice or after school. And he also would follow me. We didn't have lights at our high school. We played on Saturday. He would open the gate of the track, drive his car up on the track, and follow me around the track with his car with the lights on so I could do my sprints and my running. And it was an amazing thing. He did that all the time. So it's a pretty special experience to have someone on your side like that. My mother, Marc Megna, who fell sick recently, my mother was, the greatest woman I've ever met. Obviously, she told me I could do anything and everything I ever wanted to do, as long as I put in the work and never let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. Coach Reed, Coach Cullen, Coach Hanson, my teammates don't know this, but there was a point I was at the University of Richmond. I was really struggling academically and athletically, and I told my mother, I said, I'm not so sure I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. This is really hard. School's hard. Football's hard. I think I'm okay. I think I'm doing well, but everyone else is so much smarter than me. Everyone's faster. Everyone's stronger. My mother, who has very little education, wrote a note to me. It was a motivational letter, basically. And at the end of the letter, she said, dream big, never quit. And then she signed it and said, I love you. You can do it. Don't give up. So, whenever I had problems, she would say, go talk to Coach Reed. Don't give up. And you can do it. So, thanks, Mom. Thank you to the coaches. Thank you to my teammates. And thanks for having me here. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Things as you listen to Mark and our other inductees, and they mention those names, how many of you have made that effort to be here today, to look out in that audience as Mark is mentioning those names and to see so many of you here. At the University of Richmond, our athletic department really appreciates you coming back. I single out the coaches, Coach Reed, Coach Cullen, Coach Hanson, for your service to the University of Richmond and for making the effort to be here for Mark and for the University of Richmond today. It does not go unnoticed, trust me.